Today's video dedication is brought to you with thanks from Dan Kirch. Leinore Autumn Sovereign versus Jarina Kudrow, partners Tymna the Weaver and Ikra Shadiki the Usurper, and then partners again Jeska Thrice Reborn and Esior Wardwing Familiar. Was going to bring you something else today, but then just so happened to stumble across Leinore being available on Magic Online. The Wilhelm or Wilhelt, I forget what it's called, I think it's Wilhelm, is not available unfortunately, but I'm hoping if I can get a paper group together, I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring you some paper gameplay of that because I did buy the precon. The only spell being cast so far by the middle partner player, that is Valatin, Dean of the Vein, and we'll just get down a tap land and pass here I think. Drew into Mikaeus the Lunarch by the way, which I think we'll probably try and put 2 or 3 into X on that so that we can, the next turn, start putting plus counters on everything straight away. This was supposed to be more of a plus counter themed deck because there's not a lot of Coven cards available to us on Magic Arena, or Magic Online even, so I decided to just use the other commander that was from the deck. I'll put it on the screen now. I actually made a deck for that in paper as well, but it's more of a plus counter theme like I said, so just decided to transfer that onto Magic Online instead because we don't have a lot of those Coven cards. And this partner player going off, swinging in towards the left here, they do have the Esior available to them, so that will be a 1-3 blocking a 1-1, so I think they're trying to throw that away and get the Lisette into play, and it looks like they're just taking it as they should. They're certainly not swinging in over here for the Jeska player's benefit. Anyway, they cast a Legion's Landing, Cleric class, and got a Vampire token from the Legion's Landing. Orzhov Signet from Jarina. Got 2 human decks at the table today. Jarina obviously a human tribal list, as is ours. Let's drop a forest and we can go for Join the Dance, which will make 2 human tokens. And they'll pretty much be mana dorks for the time being once we get Catilda into play. And there's Jeska, Thrice Reborn, so both the commanders in play now. And that was X damage to each of up to 3 targets, so they took the 2 creatures away here and 1 of our human tokens, leaving the Jeska at only 1 loyalty. Resplendent Angel coming into play, so if they start gaining life over there, they'll make plenty of Angel tokens. 5 or more life by the end of a turn gets a 4/4 Angel with Flying and Vigilance. General's Enforcer for the Mardu player, and as risky as it might be going for the Mana Dork into the Jeska, at least they'll minus down the Jeska to get rid of it. Plus we've still got the 4 mana next turn for either our commander or the Shalai if we want it, so yeah, we'll go for this. If we still had our other human token, I would have actually gone for 2 into X on Mikaeus there, I think. But it might be that the Jeska player is looking for a board wipe at some point anyway. There is an Ancient Tomb, so they jump up to 5 mana. And then even further with a Thran Dynamo. Still 6 cards in hand over there. And then down to 5, but soon we all go up to 7 because that is a Time Twister. We all shuffle our hand and graveyard into the library and draw 7. And I'm actually not... Yeah, I'm not mad about that because we get some really good cards into hand there. Yeah, and then deciding to kill off the Jeska, so it's just slamming down a Smothering Tithe for us next turn I think, and then we'll be able to hopefully make use of Call of the Coppercoats, swinging in towards the Mardu player with their flying commander. Tymna the Weaver into play, and I'd be swinging in this Angel to the left, and they are. Yeah, I think we should all be focusing on this Izzet player to be honest, because they seem to be a very powerful deck so far. And then that will trigger Tymna. They go up to 9 cards in hand. Don't think they've made a land yet. And there is a land. That is Path of Ancestry. Discarding Hamza to hand size at the end of the turn, so you would assume that this has some kind of plus counter sub-theme to it. General Kudo of Dranith for the Mardu player now. And exiling our Mana Dork, surprisingly. There is a Time Twister over here, but maybe they don't mind drawing extra cards with the Time Twister. So just deciding to get rid of Catilda. We do have Sun Titan in the deck. And they do at least swing in at the Izzet player, as they should. I think we should all be doing that. Okay, Branch Loft Evolution here. Turn 4, we're going pretty slow, and our opponents are accelerating ahead of us. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with this Smothering Tithe, but it could also point everyone in our direction, because Smothering Tithe does tend to put the fear of God in people. So turn 5 and 9 mana available, maybe 10 for the Izzet player. Let's see what they can do here. Mind's Dilation is a really big one. Whenever an opponent casts their first spell, that player exiles the top card of the library. If it's non-land, you can play it without paying the mana cost. Then following that up with Imperial Plate, the equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand, and that is 2 to equip on a flying commander, so looking to get a lot of cards into hand apparently. Ikra coming into play now, so they will have both of their commanders, and Arcane Signet for the Izzet player, so obviously stealing that from the other partner player. Swinging Tymna in at us this time, and the flyer still going in over there. They should be offering up the trade for the familiar, but obviously the familiar isn't going to block here. If they're looking to draw a load of cards and buff this and get commander damage, then they'll want to keep it in the air. Gaining some life thanks to Ikra, they will draw some cards with Tymna. So going up to 9 in hand, we end up with some more treasure tokens as well. No one's paying for the Smothering Tithe yet. And then Resplendent Angel is going to trigger because they did gain some life with their Ikra along with the lifelink Tymna. So 4/4 Vigilance Angel coming into play. I'm wondering now if we use Call of the Coppercoats at the end of our opponent's turn and target these two so that we can get a bunch of humans into play. Can probably use this as a combat trick to get rid of the Tymna, and that will give us a chance to get down the Heronblade Elite before we get a load of tokens into play. So yeah, I think that's the best idea. The bigger this thing is, the more mana it taps for, but also the Great Henge will have a cost reduction there as well. This assumes that no one wipes the board before now. Leinore Autumn coming into play, and they did pay for one of our Smothering Tithe triggers as well. So getting a couple of humans into play, starting to exile a bunch of stuff from graveyards thanks to the General Kudro. So getting rid of the Ajani Greathearted, which was in the bin thanks to going down to hand size. Yavimaya Hollow is in there as well. And yeah, everything attacking the Izzet player, that's really good. We're going to get a lot of tokens with this Call the Coppercoats. Now finally blocking, so it looks like there might be a board wiping coming then, because they send their commander away, going down to 21. Okay, Austere Command, we've got a board wipe of our own. It might be intelligent to go after artifacts here, but I think that they're going to go for a creature board wipe anyway, so let's go for a dual land with Wooded Foothills. We'll get down both our human and the Branching Evolution here, I think. And then we'll see which card they get with the Mind's Dilation. Ah, that's a really good one. Champion of Lemholt. Yeah, that's a shame, and it's probably going to get exiled to the General Kudro. That's one of our really good means of evasion they just got rid of. Would have gone well with Branching Evolution, of course. So we'll just get out the Heronblade Elite. You never know, they might not wipe the board. And then if we get another couple of treasures, which we probably will, then Call the Coppercoats is going to get us a lot of humans, because we're going to point it here and here. Aminatu's Augury, plenty of big spells. Exile the top 8 cards of your library. You can put a land onto the battlefield from among them, and until the end of the turn for each non-land type, you can cast one of that type without paying the mana cost. So they've got Cyclonic Rift. Not sure if they can overload that or not. I don't think they can overload the Cyclonic Rift. Gilded Lotus. They've got Seething Song. A Wheel of Misfortune, Sword of Truth and Justice, Etali. Yeah, we'll likely see Etali here. So it's Seething Song for the instant, so now they can't go for the Cyclonic Rift, which means we won't see it for the rest of the game. Gilded Lotus is the artifact, so no Sword of Truth and Justice. Etali, the only creature that was available, so we'll assume that there's no board wipe. Champion of Lemholt will eventually make that thing unblockable. And then the Locust God, excellent. So maybe we want to be trying to point call the Coppercoats at 3 different players. I think Austere Command on big creatures would be a good idea. Anyway, Wheel of Misfortune is due to be, yeah, a one-sided wheel for someone. And this was bugged on Magic Online at some point. You can actually see the bids at one point, but it looks as though that might have been fixed. I actually don't hate the cards that are in my hand. I could do to go up a few cards, but I like the Austere Command, the Great Henge, and Call the Coppercoats, so yeah, we're going to empty our hand is the issue, but hopefully we can stack our commander and get into Rishkar's Expertise or something. Yeah, not necessarily the right play, but I'm just going to bid 0. So they did win. They bid 10. Yeah, 10 life, so losing that 10 life, it was 0 and 1 that was bid by the other players. So a bunch of Locust God and Smothering Tithe triggers going on the stack. Hopefully we don't see Fervor or some other means of hasty attacks here. I think the Locust tokens come in with haste as well. Yeah, they have flying and haste, so that's going to be a lot of flying hasters coming into play. Do get a bunch of mana for our troubles at least. And the Champion of Lemholt. Yeah, they couldn't really have got a better creature here. considering the cards they had in hand. Champion of Lemholt and the insects are going to make their entire board unblockable. And then it's a mana geyser with 1 blue floating. So that is 15 mana that they've generated. Noteworthy that they can equip this as well. That will be +6/+6 to something as it stands now. But they do go for Jeska, Thrice Reborn, so that'll be triple damage onto someone here. So what they could do is go for an equip with this onto the Champion of Lemholt and turning sideways and knock someone out. No, instead just throwing the Jeska away again, so that is damage to the Angel, the Tymna, and it was going on a human token as well. Flawless Maneuver will be cast for free. Creatures you control indestructible. That gives the Izzet player, with little life at least, a Bolas's Citadel. But they can tap this down, can't they? Sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, each opponent loses 10 life, so that might be useful with all the insect tokens. Jeska being replayed yet again. And that is a rapid hybridization, this time going on to the General's Enforcer. They don't want their creatures to have indestructible. They do have a couple of legendaries in play in the Kudro and Jarina. And then it is X damage onto all of the human creatures this time, blowing up the frog lizard that they just made. So it looks like it might be that player that they're trying to get rid of. Noteworthy that we could have gone for Call the Coppercoats before those creatures went down, but I think we've got some decent targets here. Echo the Storm. Create a token that's a copy of an artifact, so making a bunch of copies of Gilded Lotus. Still 5 cards in hand there. Equipping the Champion of Lemholt makes it a 15/15. They've got 5 cards in hand now, 2 life available to them. So I'm guessing they went for the Bolas's Citadel with that Storm card. Copy artifact now. So that could go on the equipment, and it does. Rhystic Study takes them down to 4 cards. And then equipping the Champion of Lemholt with the other ones, so they go up to 18/18 on that. And the Jeska being recast yet again. And choosing a creature, making it deal triple damage, that is the Champion of Lemholt going for the play that we said they were going to go for. Black Blade Reforged as well, so that is them tapped out at this point. Now who are they going to knock out is the question. I think we'll be able to block the Champion of Lemholt if we go for Call the Coppercoats, because we'll get double the counters on this thing and it will actually be bigger than that. Alright, going in towards the middle player, and then the rest swings in towards the Mardu player. They've got some insects going in over there, so we are being left alone here, thankfully. Question is, does the Mardu player have a board wipe? So down goes one player on turn 6. Not a board wipe, it is Cryptic Gateway. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Put a creature from your hand that shares a creature type with it into play tapped. Well, they just lost their creatures, so that's not going to do much good for them. They didn't get anything from the Mind's Dilation over here. See if they pay for the Rhystic Study or not. They do, so that is them tapped out. So let's go for this Call the Coppercoats now. And hopefully they don't get another really good creature from us with the Mind's Dilation. We will obviously pay for the Rhystic Study. Yeah, they get nothing from that, so hopefully this will be a humans versus humans match, because we should be able to go wide on this player next turn. Get ourselves into 10 humans, so that will be 20 counters on the Heronblade Elite. Yeah, so as we can see, the Heronblade Elite is a 21/21. Champion of the Parish would have benefited from that Call the Coppercoats as well. I don't think there's anything the Izzet player can do here. I'm wondering if to cast spells before combat. We'll draw an extra card if we go for our commander, so let's risk going for that. Actually, we can draw a card from the Great Henge. I don't want to go for artifacts before I swing in, because if this opponent manages to survive combat, I'm going to wipe artifacts, and I don't want to lose the Great Henge, so I'm going to miss out on the card draw from our commander this combat. So all the tokens going wide onto the Izzet player, and we'll send the 21/21 in to the right. Just trying to think of all the free spells that our opponent could go for there, but I don't think there's any that can deal damage, or certainly not fog in those colours. And we do manage to get rid of that really scary opponent, knocking this player down to 12, so they really need a board wipe, which I assume they don't have because they would have gone for it last turn. So we'll generate a bunch of green mana, go for the Great Henge. Can drop a land now as well. Go for our commander, or we'll go for the Champion of the Parish first, because that can get an extra plus counter. Heron Elite gets a counter from that, so 1 mana for a 3/3, not bad. And we get the Sun Titan to grab a land back. We didn't actually get Champion of Lemholt because it went into exile once our opponent went down. So we'll get Leinore into play, plus counters on our stuff, get another land from the Great Henge, and I'm just going to hold on to Sun Titan in case our opponent manages to land themselves a board wipe. Jarina Kudro being cast, that will get them a couple of humans, and they might be able to put something relevant into play with the Cryptic Gateway. Playing a tap land to gain a life, I don't think is going to be relevant. Well, whatever they're looking to do, it's looking to be at instant speed, curiously. Okay, so there's Metallic Mimic. We could go for a board wipe on big creatures. We'd lose our commander though, but do we care about that? Don't think it really matters if we just turn in sideways here. Let's see about drawing a card first. We might be able to get some instant speed removal into our hand for whatever it is that they're looking to slam down. Again, putting plus counters on our stuff, and the Great Henge will draw us that card. Okay, Camaraderie is one way of drawing into it, so let's go for that. We gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures we control, and we do draw, and we do control quite a few creatures, as we can see. So yeah, our opponent decides to scoop it there. I was just playing really conservatively there. I'm not sure what they can actually do with this to hurt us. They're not in fog colours. I don't think they could slam something down that could take out all the attacking creatures. If they had angels in play, that would be more something to worry about. I don't think there's any humans that can do that. But just deciding to play around the fact that we might lose our board there. What I most likely would have ended up doing there is just slamming down the Grand Abolisher and swinging in. Because then once this hits play, our opponent can't activate that and pull any shenanigans on us. Plus we had Heroic Intervention to hopefully protect our board anyway. So that was a pretty wacky game. Wasn't sure how that was going to go, but started seeing some of our human tribal shenanigans in the end. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.